Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binder, Nintendon, and Francis from Player Essence to discuss our thoughts on Nintendo's E3 plans, or lack thereof. So, let's get started. Alright guys, so we've had some idea of Nintendo's plans for E3 for about a week now, but Nintendo came out this morning and fully let them all be known basically, as far as we know. And they confirmed that it is basically Zelda all the time. It seems like it's only Zelda around the clock, because they announced that they are kicking off E3 at 9 AM Pacific time with a Treehouse live stream devoted to Zelda, which Reggie will apparently be hosting in some capacity. Which means, if this is how they're kicking off their E3, that there is no Nintendo Direct or no digital event this year, which is pretty big news, because that basically means Zelda is the only thing here at all. So yeah, probably no surprise announcements or games because there's no avenue in which to announce them. Now there is a small chance Nintendo could announce a roundtable like they have in years past for after the show floor closes, but I'm thinking at this point it's pretty unlikely given that Nintendo is really making it clear that they're focusing only on Zelda at E3. Now they did offer a few more details about the stream and the game itself, including the fact that the stream will include game coverage of course, behind the scenes info, and plenty of fun. So I'm assuming that means some, game developer interviews among, other things. They went on to say that Zelda Wii U will be a clean break from the conventions of previous Zelda games, removing boundaries that force players to follow a set path, and introducing new gameplay that's never been experienced in previous games in the series. And I believe a European press release even explicitly said that there will be a new gameplay mechanic never before seen. So that sounds exciting, but the fact that it's still the only thing here, I want to say I'm disappointed, but at this point it's almost expected. Like, this makes sense at this point. Nintendo has just really thrown all E3 conventions out of the window this year. But I want to get your guys' take on this. What's your thoughts on Nintendo's full E3 plans?
Well, it's pretty much what we expect at this stage. As for some people, it had hoped for like a digital event where they would still talk about things like Paper Mario and Pokemon, and maybe some Metroid Prime Federation Force, because those are the three last Nintendo games coming after June, I suppose. But it's really, really slim. Like, their showing is unprecedentedly slim.
You could say they're breaking for the conventions of E3 conventions.
Yes. Well done. You earn a gold star. There is no E3 conference. There's not even a digital event. There's just only a day one stream and nothing else. There's not a day 2 or day 3 from the sounds like it. So the only presence online or buzz for people to see is on Tuesday the 14th. With an all-day look on Zelda, which is cool. Zelda's fantastic, it's the 30th anniversary and I love it, but at the same time, you feel that there are still some things that I could have shown, like in some capacity. Like even with Nintendo Treehouse Live, maybe on the second, third day, there's still some other smaller things coming that I could have done, but they have specifically decided to solely show Zelda and nothing else. And on one side, I think it's good to focus on the game you truly believe in. On the other hand, it puts a lot of pressure on them for what they are doing next later in the year with the NX.
Yeah, that's true. But that'll be the case no matter what when they announce the NX. But yeah, in this case, there is... they're blowing out Zelda here. That is kind of like one less ace in the hole for the NX when they eventually announce that. What's your take, Francis, though? What do you think about all that? Since you cover news for a living, it sounds like there might be a lack of Nintendo news at E3 this year.
Yeah, there's a big lack of Nintendo news, and I think it was to be expected. They already said that this was going to happen, but I think the realization just kind of hit everyone, like oh, wait, this is really happening. So we're so used to big projects going on at E3 and all this stuff, and I talked about this the other day on my channel, and it seems like Nintendo is just they're trying to distance themselves from E3, especially after what happened last year. Like their show was super hyped, and a lot of people were really disappointed with their show, even though they had, you know, the Nintendo World Championship and all that stuff. So I'm just thinking Nintendo doesn't think it's really like worth it with E3 anymore. In addition to what they're doing with NX, it's like we're gonna wait till our own day. We're just gonna show off Zelda, what we know is going to be good, and not worry about all this hype surrounding this show, because a lot of other companies are pulling out. You know, like EA's not going to be there, and who else? Activision. So. And what I'm thinking is that Nintendo's like, you know, we're moving on from this, and we're going to really just do our own thing. But this was to be expected. They talked about it, so we're going to get the full Zelda experience when we go. So, I mean, there's some positives, right?
I guess it depends how you look at it. Yeah, I mean, we are going to see a lot of Zelda, which is probably a good thing. But I don't know. I almost wonder, like, is showing off just a full stream of Zelda too much? I mean, this game has to be massive, right? Like, maybe they think they can still stream this game for a full day and still have stuff left for people to discover.
Andre, let's be honest here. They announced this game in January of 2013. When it comes out, sometime in 2017, it will be over 4 years. I think they have enough to show.
Considering how little we still know, yeah, that seems to be the case.
But, I mean, I guess my point, though, is, like, they're showing off, and I'm guessing this would be an unprecedented amount of showing off a single game. And I wonder if they might take away from it a little bit. Like, yeah, I'm sure the world's huge, there's tons of stuff to see. At the same time, they are, you know, if you're watching a full stream, you're going to get a pretty good idea of what they're showing here. But again, who knows? Maybe they really only have 2 hours of content, they'll just keep recycling, like keep going through the same areas over and over. I really don't know. I mean, I wonder how they're even going to do this. Like, are they just going to give everyone, like, full access to the game, knowing that you can't beat the game in time? Like, maybe the story in the world and be like, hey, here you go wherever you want.
If that's true, that's also sort of depressing.
Why is that depressing? Because I think that's probably the best way to show it off, and the new aspect, and how they're talking about how you could go anywhere and do anything. To just, like, throw you into the world and, like, go wherever you want, that's huge.
Yeah, but if I got a chance to play a game that extensively, I would rather start it from the beginning and just explore it all the way through. And a demo can only, like, give you a sense of stuff that much. So I'm not sure. I mean, an extended demo sounds good on paper, but until you play it, you're not even really sure what it exactly means. And with the stream, it will be more interesting how they're going to package that, if they are going to start from the beginning, if they are going to go hop on to specific points and show specific stuff, and how the behind-the-scenes stuff is handled. Like, are they going to do, like, maybe video interviews while they're doing this, or are there guests on? Much about it, like, the specifics about it are still clear, even though the parameters where this is going to take place in.
I mean, they sort of have an idea. I mean, they have, like, they're going to have developers on there to talk about it. They'll probably do specific things that those developers worked on it that they're proud of. They said there's a brand new mechanic. I'm sure they'll be talking extensively about that. I'm not worried about the Zelda presentation itself. That's the thing I'm least worried about when it comes to
yeah.
The demo's going to be fun. The presentation will be fine. Yeah, maybe they'll show too much, but I have a feeling Nintendo has a plan here. They're pretty tight-lipped when it comes to most things, and the fact that we know so little about Zelda already, they have enough room, I think, to show off more of the game.
I'm more worried about how they're going to package that demo, because it's obviously a huge game, but considering it's their only game, this is also the game that needs to grab people's attention, and they need to do this in a way that's effective. And previous Zelda demos, like from previous conventions, like had usually free bits to choose from.
Right, like a dungeon, the overworld, and something else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in this scenario that's not enough. So I really hope that they know what is up and what they're doing with this one.
What I'm assuming they would do in this case is it would just give you, like, different starting points. Like, hey, if you want to start, like, near a dungeon, click here. Or if you want to start, you know, from this main town. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be this is going to be something different and new. It's going to be very interesting how they present this. I have a feeling it probably won't be. I don't think they'll start from the beginning of the game. I think because as you mentioned, like, they want to start, like, they need to do something that grabs people's attention. And typically, the way Zelda's open is not the way to do that. Maybe they revamped it this time. Who knows? But I'm guessing they'll just throw you into the world.
Well, they're
really.
breaking conventions, so who knows?
That's
Hey.
What do you guys think that they'll actually? What's the chances that they'll actually announce like another playable character outside of Link for at the demo or at E3?
I don't know about another playable character. If the rumors about being able to switch genders is available at all, I'm sure that they'll be showing that off quite a bit.
I do think, if I recall, the rumor was specifically that there would be a playable female character, and that it may not necessarily be a female Link. It could, and very well might, regardless of what form that takes. Yeah, that would be something they showed that off, and that would be a pretty huge talking point.
Right. What hits me from all of this is how little we actually know Zelda, despite it being announced such a long time ago. So, feeling that they're finally doing this blowout in maybe Nintendo's lowest point at E3 gives a fantastic contrast of what we can expect from their experiences with that game at E3. So, I hope that they know what they're doing, which I think they will. I think they're smart enough to know what's up. But it's again.
You have a lot of confidence because
Yeah.
here's my biggest issue from all of this. It's not Zelda or anything like that. I was really hoping if the NX did come out in November, which it isn't, of course, that Nintendo was having quite a lot of bigger games and had a lot of maybe not the best games. Star Fox certainly isn't lighting up the world or anything like that, but trying to maintain that momentum into the NX in order to try to do that. And I feel by focusing solely on Zelda, which is a 2017 title, all that momentum's gone, and Nintendo finds himself in that same trap where nobody cares about the system at the end of its lifespan once again, and they gotta start from scratch in order to get hype for their next system.
That's the point I was.
Well, I think that's
totally
the thing,
clearly.
I think that's the thing. I think they know that they have to start from scratch again. Like they've failed with the Wii U. I mean, I don't hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. Like they've failed with the Wii U completely. So I think they know that this system, it's going to be done, and they're going to have to try to convince people another day, another time with NX. So I think this is just basically them waving. I think it's kind of them waving the white flag on Wii U because that's the only game. I mean, they're not even talking about Paper Mario, which is coming out. They're not talking about that game, and it's coming out apparently it's coming out this year, right? Like from what we hear.
Yeah.
So they're not even talking about another Wii U game that they have. So what else would they? To me, that just shows that.
And
we're
I
done
think,
with Wii U.
and I think that's the biggest mistake, because you need to keep fans engaged. Because what are you gonna do with people who bought the Wii U still? Like, there's only so much that independent games can do, and I love independent games, but between now and March, there's only Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Mario and Sonic, Paper Mario, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I mean, the 3DS is looking healthy as far as they have a ton of RPGs. They have Pokemon, of course, coming out. The 3DS seems like it'll be fine, which it's still strange that they're not talking about that at all. Why are we not getting anything on Pokemon? Which tells me that even though we're not having a digital event at E3, there's going to be a Direct before E3.
You think so? A direct before E3?
I think so. I think if they want to take E3 and just put all the focus on Zelda, it makes sense. It's like, okay, well, we not talk about Zelda during this Direct, but everything else that we have in the pipeline, or just in that sort of way. I mean, I would maybe it's just my hopes of what they will do, because please give me something. And they haven't really talked about Sun and Moon at all. Since that little opening, we don't really know that much about it other than rumors, hearsay, and false Pokemon. But yeah, I either soon after or soon before E3, I would expect a Direct of some form.
I have some really hard hopes. I have really weak hopes for that, because honestly, the way they have been distributing the news like the last month and a half doesn't really boost my confidence in the fact they're gonna do a Direct very soon.
I would think that they would maybe do like a Pokemon type Direct, maybe later in the year, since the Pokemon company seems to be fine with doing stuff like that. That's what I would think they would do. But if we could get a Direct before E3, that would be cool too. I would hope. I
agree. That would be cool. I am leaning toward them not doing much until E3 though, and I think we'll get like perhaps a summer or a Direct for the summer and fall games at some point. But yeah, I actually don't expect much before E3. It'd be nice, but I think there's gonna be quiet, and yeah, it's so weird because yeah, they really aren't doing much to excite the core fan base right now. Like, everything has been disappointment after disappointment these past few weeks. Even the way they announced their E3 plans paled in comparison to past years, and we know why, because they have nothing to show there besides Zelda. But still, it just shows, like, I don't know, it's just very odd. Like, it seems like Nintendo doesn't really care that much about E3 anymore, which is fine, but it's also giving the impression that they just don't have much to do at all, which also seems to be true. But that's something that that's something that, you know, I remember Iwata's comments saying they wouldn't have the same problem with the Wii U that they have with past consoles, where there's a lack of content toward the end of its life. But that is something Iwata also said every generation, and that always happened every generation. And it seems like it's happening again this time. And with the NX being, you know, now coming out next year, there really seems to be nothing for the Wii U. But again, it is odd that they're not focusing on the 3DS, because there is still a decent amount of content coming to that console, to that platform. So this is such a weird E3. I just can't get over that. It's such a weird E3. I've come to terms with it. It's just bizarre. It's like the Twilight Zone version of E3.
Do you think that they're possibly trying to do like a preemptive like hype for the Legend of Zelda being a launch title on the Nintendo NX and on also Wii U? I think do you guys think that they want to ingrain that in people's heads? Like, hey, this game is going to be launching with the Nintendo NX, with this whole E3 presentation. I mean, maybe this is the start of their promotional campaign for the NX. Since
No, I honestly don't think so. Considering their messaging has been so really clear that they're focusing on the Legend of Zelda for Wii U, and not nowhere focusing that they would talk, that this game would also talk in next in this specific communication wise, then I honestly think that it will solely focus E3 on the Wii U version of the new Legend of Zelda.
Oh yeah, I know that they're not going to bring the NX version. I'm just thinking because we do know that the game is launching.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that they're not even going to bring it up. I think.
Yeah, I know they're not going to bring it up. I know. That.
I agree. Yeah, I actually agree with where you're coming from, Francis. Regardless of whether they bring it up or not, I think this is basically marketing for the NX, because I think it's going to be similar to Twilight Princess, where most people do buy the newer version or the newly announced version of Zelda being NX instead of the original.
Yeah.
However, I actually fully expect them to mention the NX in some way. I'd be very surprised if they don't say Zelda Wii U also coming to NX or something. So I feel like even though it's being shown on Wii U, it is essentially an advertisement for the NX. And as soon as they announce the NX, I have a feeling they won't talk about Zelda for Wii U much by itself anymore. It's going to be focused purely on Zelda NX,
like they did with Twilight Princess. Because
exactly,
I mean, like the GameCube version was forgotten. Many people feel that the GameCube version is better, and it was just forgotten when it launched. Everybody was like, "Let's go get the Wii version."
That totally is the case, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I actually think if Nintendo does anything else, it would be a missed opportunity. Like, why do they don't want to be advertising what is effectively a dead system? They know they're not going to be selling many more Wii U's. They need to focus on the NX, and I think they know that, and I think they will, even if it's not incredibly blatant, through how they present it at E3. But I think that is how they're going to treat it, and I think they will have some mention of either the NX or Zelda NX.
That would make sense.
I don't know.
I can totally see it.
I'm done. I need to stop predicting what Nintendo's going to do.
It's kind of hard.
It's impossible
to do.
Yeah, it's hard to predict.
I mean, we said before, there's, on our predictions, we're like, Nintendo needs to do this, Nintendo needs to do that. Then Nintendo proves that they don't, because they don't do it. But I guess at the same time, you could say that they might have been better off had they done that than they are now. But that's water under the bridge. So
when we're outsiders looking in, who knows what it's like internally at Nintendo?
It sounds like a mess internally.
Yeah, it's just, oh boy, I have no idea what's going on there, and it's. I want to stay.
I just gonna say this. I can't wait for whatever the next presentation or announcement is, where they fully tout how the Legend of Zelda is launching together with the NX. And then everybody will forget about the Wii U version at that point in time.
Yep. Oh yeah, it'll be like a light switch, just on and off. Like, people won't remember Zelda Wii U. Yeah. It'll be all about the Zelda NX.
Especially if there's like really good like enhancements to the NX version of the game. Like, people are just gonna be like, oh wow, I want that one. I want the better running one. I want that one. I know Nintendo with the GameCube with Twilight Princess, like they made it to where like the Wii version was only in widescreen, which was really weird, you know, that they would do that. They didn't make the GameCube version widescreen. They just made it, and they actually advertised that, like, oh, it's in widescreen, like on the back of the box. So I don't think they'll do anything that drastic this time, but we'll see what type of enhancements that they have for the NX version. I think it'll be interesting to see the ratio of how many people still buy the Wii U version to the NX version.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Full show. So I guess, I mean, since we know it is so Zelda focused, what are your guys' expectations for Zelda itself? I know we touched on that a little bit earlier, but you know, again, they did clarify that it's going to introduce a new gameplay mechanic never seen before, and that is going to be a clean break from conventions of the series. Which, like for me, that is super exciting. Like I like Zelda games, most of them, not all of them, most of them. But you know, I feel like at times they do seem to be a little bit long in the tooth. You know, we've seen them go down this increasingly linear path, accepting Link Between Worlds, and now it sounds like with Zelda Wii U and NX, they're really going to broaden how this game works. So even though this is their only game shown at E3, you guys are probably pretty psyched for it still, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I'm super hyped for it. I mean, ever since that Aonuma talked about what he wants to do with it back in 2013, where he really talked in depth about what breaking the convention means for a Legend of Zelda game. He got me hooked. I mean, gameplay-wise, again, we have not seen much. Like, there was that bit of gameplay during the Game Awards, which is the biggest impact that game has made to me, like riding back on the horse, a little bit of combat on the side. But I'm more interested now than ever before to see how that game will fully break away from what Zelda is known for up to this point. And it also is a good gateway from the 30th anniversary until the 31st.
I basically already said what I was hoping for. I mean, having a demo be wide open and encouraging that sort of idea, because they're going to want people to come back, because they only have one game. Most places are going to go right to Nintendo, get their coverage, and then go elsewhere, and there's not really any reason to come back. So they need to have a pretty sizable demo, I feel, with lots of exploration opportunities. But they also, I think having some more focused instances would be wise as well, like putting you right outside a dungeon that you can go into and see how dungeons might work in this game, or a section dedicated entirely to this new mechanic, whatever it might be, probably in relation to that book with the Sheikah symbol on it.
Yeah.
Who knows what it actually does, and then just wide open. Go wherever you want, encounter monsters, maybe have that thing chase you, maybe just come across other dungeons or stuff like that. I mean, the world is your oyster type thing, and I think that's going to be the way that you're going to get people to, or news outlets to continually come back to the demo.
The good thing about having one game is that I can write a full-on book report about how amazing that demo is. So I will look at every single piece of grass and look at every single aspect of the game to fully embrace what this new game will be. So I'm very excited about that, to be honest.
I'm interested in actually seeing like what they're going to do with like the equipment, how are they going to handle upgrades, things like that, because in a huge open world, I want to know that there's stuff and there's reasons for me to go out and hunt these monsters or do all this stuff. Like I don't want it to be like I kill like a really cool monster and I get like, I don't know, like 50 rupees. You know, like something like in like Zelda games, like sometimes that happens. Like you'll go do something really cool and like you'll open up a chest and it's like, oh, you got 100 rupees. I'm like, I don't need 100 rupees. Like my pouch is full. So hopefully they can show off like what they're gonna do to actually make it worthwhile to explore this open world and do all that stuff. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
You had a really interesting word there, explore. That's something I feel like has been a bit lacking in some of the modern 3D Zeldas. It's like I feel like it's been a while since exploring was truly encouraged. Like that's what excites me most. I love those older Zelda games where you weren't always funneled down a very specific path. Instead, it was a little bit more open. And I just want them to get back to that. I want to see, you know, if I can come across things for my own for once, you know, and like just stumble across dungeons, for instance, like much like how you could in the original Zelda on NES.
Yeah, I would love that for sure. Yeah.
That would be fantastic, and I think some people were making some of the connections between like the original Legend of Zelda artwork and when they first showed it off. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but people saw like,
oh yeah, we covered it.
You guys covered that, of course. So
yeah, how like it matched up with the box art or the artwork of the original Zelda.
Yeah, so hopefully that was a sign of things to come, to where it would be like more like the original Legend of Zelda, because that game was insane when you were a kid. I mean, it was just, the imagination ran wild, and if they can bring that experience like to the new generation and also to the people who grew up with it, that will be like something truly special, especially for, well, I guess it won't be the 30th anniversary, but kind of the 30th anniversary when the game was.
The anniversary ends and Nintendo says it ends.
Yeah, there we go.
Just look at the year of Luigi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The decade of Luigi.
Oh God.
So yeah, hopefully they can do that, and I think it'll be special. It'll be special because it'll just be something that Nintendo can really say, hey, like, we really did change the conventions of Zelda. Not only that, but we also brought back like the old school feel of the game. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be so great.
Despite my concerns of them maybe focusing too much on Zelda by only showing Zelda, like, I think it does instill at least confidence in the game itself. Like, this game must have a ton to offer if this is the only game on the show floor and they're streaming it for around 8 hours or so, I'm guessing, give or take. There just must be a ton of stuff here, and as you guys mentioned, we know almost nothing about it up to this point. So
they did take their time to implement new ideas, so hopefully that will show.
Yeah, it better.
Yep.
All right. Well, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up here? Any final things you want to bring up before?
I think we kind of covered it. So.
We did.
Yeah.
Got everything I needed to say.
Sounds good. Well, Don, where can people find you at?
Wow, you can find me at way too many places. I feel that I say that every single time we end a conversation. But you can follow me on Twitter, which is @Nintendan. That is NINTENDAAN. Usually links to all the stuff there: Nintendo World Support, Nintendo Force, and a whole bunch more.
Awesome. And how about you, Francis?
Just find me on Player Essence right here on YouTube. I really like Sheik, so you'll see my avatar and all that, and like my banner with Sheik, because I'm a huge Sheik fan in Smash Bros. So, yep, right here on YouTube.
You're a Sheik player.
I am a hardcore Sheik player. I go to tournaments and stuff. I get beat, but I go.
That's what really counts. You just have to show up, right?
Yeah.
All right, and of course, keep an eye on Game Explain for more on Zelda Wii U and E3, what there is at E3, and other things gaming as well. Catch you guys later. Bye.